So I'm Jonathan Lane.
And I'm Haley Vozzella, and we're doing Elite Platinum Football/Soccer Stadium for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. So before I start with the project, I'm going to talk about the project objective. And so we had to design a facility for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. And so we chose a football/soccer stadium. It needed to be Elite Platinum certification in building design and construction. And we wanted it to be bigger and better than the 1964 one that's previously there. It needed to be practical, not just green, and extremely innovative. So the first part was to find a site selection, and to do this we made a pew matrix and compared two different locations. And we ended up choosing the 1964 Olympic Tokyo Stadium, and this is in Shinjuku, Japan. It's approximately 71 acres and holds a capacity of 60,000. It's a soccer field and a track, although we're only going to be doing the soccer field portion. It's 115 by 75 yards. So here's another view of it. As you can see, there's a lot of parking. This is like a parking garage all the way on the left side, and the green space is really cluttered. So we wanted to spread that out and make the green space more like as a walkway, leading up into it to make it a more modern feel. And it's just going to be seen in this one. So as you can see, the green space is spread out and it leads into the stadium. The parking is more over here, and we wanted to reduce the parking so we can promote public transit and other green aspects. And we also really liked the way that they had the flags of all the countries to bring some unity of the countries to this Olympic stadium.
So we then stepped forward and wanted a plan for the future. And before we came up with a plan, we decided that in our project, we not only wanted to incorporate, the head of the Olympics, who's mainly paying for the stadium, but we also want to incorporate the people of Tokyo, and especially the higher up, because already this stadium is already being used by soccer clubs in Tokyo. So we want their input into the stadium. That way, after the Olympics is all said and done, we can hand it over to the soccer clubs and they can use it, and it isn't just not used afterwards. But after this was done, we wanted to make it a major renovation instead of a new construction to lessen the impact of the area. The 4 stages that we included were the phase 1, which is the gathering of reusable materials, which helps with LEED certification and just makes sense. The phase 2 is the demolition, but the demolition isn't just getting rid of the infrastructure. We want to build on top of and reinforce what is already there. But on top of that, we want to recycle a lot of the materials instead of just getting rid of them to the city and surrounding areas. And phase 3 is the major stadium renovation, which I'll talk about a little bit later, and how we lessen the impact and gain more support. And then there's phase 4, which is the surrounding infrastructure renovation, which is the surrounding area, like she was saying, incorporating the green space with the walkway to not only promote the modern day view of the Olympics, but just an easier eye view for the spectators and athletes as they come towards the stadium. Next slide. So the way that we're going to lessen the impact and really do the major renovation of the stadium is we're going to reduce the site acreage and develop the green space incorporated into the walkways to the stadium. The HVAC in the water is going to be geothermal, and the geothermal is also going to use the reclaimed runoff water of the stadium. You'll see it in the picture when we go forward. But the geothermal, we thought, since it's not a lot, it's just mainly the hot water in the bathrooms and the HVAC in the corridors, along with the athletes' showers and bathrooms, we thought we could do just a couple residential wells instead of a big commercial well, since a big commercial well you have to drill a lot farther down than just a couple residential. Then all the lights are going to be LED, and then surrounding the stadiums we found light posts that we could use that are also solar panel on the top, so they're completely off of the grid. But the big innovation thing is the Pavagonian panels, which I talked about a little bit in the proposal, which those are the pressure panels that are done by a British technology company, and they give you about 5 watts of continuous energy for each footstep. So each time the pressure goes in and out, it's 5 watts. And we want to put those on the field, and on top of that is the turf instead of grass, which lessens the maintenance. And we also want to put them in the corridors, which just makes sense because there's around 60 to 80,000 people coming in and out of the corridors during and after the game, so that's a lot of energy that we would be just passing up if we didn't do this. So, and finally is the data center for the facility management. Inside the stadium, we want to incorporate a data center that manages all of the facilities such as the bathroom, the HVAC, and even the occupancy sensors for the lights. That way we know everything is going to use, and we can reduce energy consumption if possible, because it is the Olympics and we don't need anything to go down. Next slide. So now let's talk a little bit about the LEED Platinum certification, which I talked about, or she talked about at the beginning. We did score an 81 points out of 110 in the LEED version 4 of building design and construction for the new construction and major renovation. This is the worst case scenario. We went all the way up to 97 points in the best thing. This is not, counting the regional priority section, or even there's a couple different ones like stormwater management, which already consist on site, but since we aren't doing it, we aren't counting it in the major renovation. But there is a big buffer for us that is a couple points. Next slide. So here's the 2020 stadium drawings. Up in the right is what we kind of imagined at the beginning. And here's a bird's eye view of the stadium, letting in natural daylight from the top for the spectators and the athletes during the event. Next slide. Then we wanted to get more involved into the drawings. So over on the right-hand side is a bird's eye view of the Revit drawing. And you can kind of see it's the same way as the bird's eye view for the first drawing. And then on the left-hand side is kind of a side-on aerial view of it, and you can see the windows on the side that are just going to let in the daylight along with on top. And then the top of the stadium is kind of sloped, and then the runoff for the water is going around the stadium. Next slide. And then this is the inside of the stadium. As you can see, it's going to be just a normal stadium of 2 tiers, and then the daylight's going to come in from above. But the main thing for the inside of the stadium is the data center management. You can go back one. The data center management is going to be in this side building along with a pro shop, which is a lot of the stadiums nowadays you have a pro shop with them. But the data center, like I said, is going to manage all of this facility along with the HVAC and the runoff of water and everything like that. Next slide. Next slide. Any questions?
How did you find those panels, those pressure panels?
Just by looking at renewable resources, she actually found them, but they're really cool. They're doing a lot of work. If we have some time, and there's not, I do have a video at the very end, like backup slides for them. They do a lot of work in third world countries, Nigeria, Rio, and then they actually just installed the first ones in the United States. They're in Washington, D.C., and they're kind of coming up in the world. Just by Google, I guess, is the answer.
Do you have any idea how much per game, say, you would generate in power with the panels?
We didn't, because we didn't do the floor plan, and we couldn't really wrap our head around how many times somebody would walk over those panels, because 80,000 people walking in and out of the stadium at different times, and depending on if they are near like concession stands, for example, it could be hundreds of times that one person could go over it, so it's a lot of energy.